Got my wool blazer on, so you know we're about to get into some smart people stuff. Hi, my name is Adriana, and today I will be discussing, was my Kobo e-reader worth it? So basically, spoiler review, yes. In a lot of different senses, my Kobo e-reader was worth it for me. But I'm not just gonna end this after 30 seconds. I have lots of great data and anecdotes and everything else as to why I love my Kobo and why I think it was the best decision for me to get it and why it might be good for you as well. So starting with just straight math, economics, whatever you want to call it, I made up some charts and graphs. So you can see those here. I'm going to pull it up on my phone. So to date, I have saved $257.49 because of my Kobo. How did I come to that number? Basically, I have added up all of the ebooks I borrowed from the library instead of purchasing said ebook. I have, I think, 2 videos on my Kobo up on my channel from a long time ago, but in those videos, I explained that before I was reading ebooks on like a big Samsung tablet. I switched to this, and I'll get into this a little bit more, but it works really well with my library systems that I am a part of. So it just really encouraged me to use the library. So that is kind of how I am adding up the savings that it has led for me. So in the chart below, you can see kind of how much money I saved by reading ebooks year to year. Starting in 2020 when I bought it, I read a ton of ebooks from the library right when I first got it, and it's kind of dwindled off since then. I mean, you don't get beautiful shelves like these by borrowing all your ebooks from the library, but you know, I'm still happy that I got it. Again, straight economics, I paid $170 for my Kobo Libra H2O when I bought it back in 2020. I made that money back in about a year and a half. So for me, the payback period was about a year and a half. For somebody else, depending on how you want to calculate savings, obviously that could be calculated in a multitude of different ways, and it depends on how much you're reading, where you're getting your books from, everything else. If I really wanted to, I could also include like some of my NetGalley arcs towards this count, because I do read my NetGalley arcs on here and enjoy it a lot more than I do reading them on my phone or on an iPad or whatever. As I've kind of mentioned already, this was much more than just a straight economic purchase for me. If we were going straight off of money, I would just get my ass into the library and borrow physical books instead of borrowing everything on the e-reader. The e-reader does kind of open me up to more options. So I have a library card with the Seattle Public Library, the biggest city in Washington state, and it has a lot more options than my small but mighty library system here in central Washington. Again, it's opened me up to some more options, you know, with the Seattle Library, as well as making it a lot easier for me to just get the books. I don't have to physically go into a library. I can use the Libby app on my phone and they just go straight onto the Kobo, and it's great and I love it. It's also another aspect to the e-reader, which could also be true for like an iPad or whatever, but when you're traveling, this thing can fit oh god. This thing can fit like thousands of books on it. I think I have 8 gigs of storage on it or something. I will never fill up the storage on this thing. And I mean, it's ridiculous how many books you can fit on an e-reader like this. Of course, like I said, that's also true for like an iPad or whatever other e-reader you want to use that is not specific to my Kobo, but it is a big benefit for me. I do a ton of traveling. I'm always leaving on weekend trips. I, do fly like on a plane cross country occasionally, and it's just so nice to not have to pack physical books in a limited space situation. I can throw this in my bag and have millions of books available to me through my library, through e-reader stores, anything else. It's just nice to have this ready to go, and I don't have to worry about how many books I think I might read and if I should pack this book or that book. What am I gonna be in the mood for while I'm on vacation? It's just nice. It's just there, it's ready to go, you throw it in a bag, it's Gucci. It's also very durable, as you saw from me just dropping it on the ground right now. Which, again, I think that's something, in favor of an e-reader over something like an iPad. It has been dropped a couple times and it has survived immaculately. This model of Kobo is also waterproof up to like 8 meters, I think. So if I am reading around a pool or around the lake, I don't have to worry about it getting splashed on, or if I accidentally, drop it in a shallow portion of water, it'll be totally fine. So that is, again, a benefit over a physical book, and I think also a benefit over something like an iPad or just reading on your phone, is that it is extremely durable and the plastic has actually held up super well. It's, I don't have any scratches on it. I got, cute little stickers on it, but looks brand new. It looks as good as the day I got it. And then finally, kind of in this little section of was this worth it? For me, obviously 100% yes, and I actually do prefer the reading experience of reading on my e-reader over reading a physical book. I will still continue to buy physical books because I think they are very pretty and I think they look very nice, and I do like, lending a book out to a friend when I can, but this is so much lighter than a physical book. I don't know if this happens to anybody else, but if I hold a book for too long, my hands start to go numb, and I will eventually my hands will start going numb, like just from this holding position with this, but I can read this for a lot longer before that happens to me. This e-reader, and I think probably 99.9% of e-readers today, has a built-in front light, so you can read it at night and not have to have a lamp on, which, sharing a bed with my husband or when we're on vacation or whatever, it's just nice to have a light and not have to have a lamp. Or I do have one of those little clip-on book lights for my physical book, but it's a pain, and it's nice to have everything just in here, ready to go. I can pick it up, I can read it in any situation. And one more thing about getting an e-reader over something like an iPad, the e-ink screen. It reads so nice. You can read it in direct sunlight. It doesn't strain your eyes when you're reading it at night. It's just big old fan of the traditional e-reader over an iPad. So that kind of transitions us into the next section of this video. I think inevitably when you're bringing up buying an e-reader, it's really hard not to compare to the behemoth of the Kindle. So I just wanted to take a little bit of time, indulge me please, in why I think the Kobo, specifically kind of the Kobo ecosystem, is better than the Kindle one. Just compare and contrast, I suppose. And before we really dig into it, I just want to kind of air my bias a little bit. I was never gonna buy a Kindle. That was never an option I was looking at with any sort of sincerity. I haven't voiced it too much on this channel, but I really do believe that Amazon has obviously not a monopoly, but has too much control over the book distribution space. I mean, there's been a lot of discussion with, Brandon Sanderson having come out and saying he will no longer have his books on Audible, or, he's just really working on getting kind of his book distribution away from that Amazon ecosystem. And I think the same thing for kind of like e-readers and ebooks and everything else. I think anything I can do to help support competition against Amazon, not saying that they are a terrible company, I mean a little bit, but that's beside the point. I just think they have too much control over that space, and I think it's always good to support healthy competition in any sphere or realm of the economy. So a Kindle was never in the books for me, but I think there are a couple more things that, the Kobo could be more beneficial to a certain type of person over something like a Kindle. So jumping in right off the bat with what may sway you to Kindle or Kobo, it's actually in Amazon's favor, but that is your own comfortability with technology. I think the Kindle Amazon ecosystem, it's kind of like Apple in the way it's just set itself up to be really streamlined. Once you're kind of in that ecosystem, it's really easy to maneuver within it. You can, do things like Kindle Unlimited and have access to tons of free ebooks on your Kindle. You can, browse on Amazon, buy your Kindle, book or buy your Kindle ebook and have it get sent straight to your Kindle, I would say that is definitely more in Kindle's favor than something like the Kobo. On the flip side of that, I do think the Kobo is a lot friendlier to kind of third-party apps. So, you know, with the Kobo, you can buy your ebook from any website. You can buy it from the Kobo store. You can get an ebook from Barnes & Noble, Walmart, whatever storefront you want to get an ebook from, and you can load it onto your Kobo. I think also a really, really great option that I don't think it's talked about enough in kind of these Kobo spheres is its communication with Overdrive library services. So Overdrive is a system that a lot of libraries use to host their ebooks to be borrowed out by their patrons, and Kobo talks directly with Overdrive. So you just, you know, log into your Overdrive library account onto your Kobo, and then you can browse your library either on your library's website using the Libby app on your phone, and you can borrow books on your computer or on your phone, and then it'll just automatically sync to the Kobo. Don't need to do anything. So in that case, if you are in the library ecosystem versus something like an Amazon ecosystem, Kobo, definitely 10 out of 10. I know in my personal library, there is sometimes options to have the library book you borrowed sent to your Kindle. I think you just like log in with your Kindle email address and the library will send it, but not every single book is supported with that function. So every book I have borrowed so far from my library has not had a single issue syncing to the Kobo. So I love it for that, considering that's half the reason I bought it, is so I could, you know, borrow books from the library. Kindle was never in the running for me, especially since I had previously bought all of my ebooks on Google Books, so like the Android version of like Apple Books, and you can download the file from Google Books, Apple Books, whatever, and put it onto this. A lot friendlier with third-party apps. Kindle, not so much. I think it's a little more of a to-do to get that to work. I think price-wise, for the budget options of the Kindle and the Kobo, I think they're pretty much the exact same. So like I think it's the Kindle Paperwhite, I think that's like kind of their budget option. It's pretty much the exact same price as the Kobo Nia, which is Kobo's budget option. But when you start getting up into like the more premium options, so something with a bigger screen, something that is waterproof, Kobo is generally quite a bit cheaper. And something else that Amazon does that just kind of weirds me out is they offer ad and ad-free versions of the Kindle. So if you buy like the ad version of the Kindle, it is typically cheaper, but when your Kindle is in sleep mode, like my Kobo is right now, instead of just being a blank screen or the cover of the book you are currently reading, it will show ads for like other books you can buy, and that just kind of weirds me out. I was recently on like a Reddit forum about Kindle versus Kobo, and apparently you can get those ads turned off even if you do buy like the ad version, if you like talk to customer service. But just the idea of it as a whole, it feels a little dystopian and I don't really like it. But again, that probably comes from my bias against Amazon as a whole. Just weirds me out just a little bit. So that is enough of my tangent about Amazon versus Kobo. Again, I think you can make all those same arguments I made for Kobo for any of the other e-reader options. I'm a fan of Kobo. All of my e-readers going forward most likely going to be in Kobo. But hopefully this one will still be kicking around for a while, and that leads me into my final section of this video. How has this Kobo held up for the $170 I paid for it? Technically, according to my calculations, I have already made my money back on this Kobo in savings from not buying ebooks or physical versions of books, and you know, everything past that initial year and a half is basically gravy. Like, it's just more money that I am saving just directly to my bottom line, which we love. As I had mentioned, physically this thing is still in incredible shape. Like it's a little dusty because it's been sitting on my shelf. I've been prioritizing physical books for the last little bit here, but it is in wonderful shape. There's really no scratches that I can see on the screen itself. The light is still in really great shape. So yeah, that is full brightness on. It's really hard to see with my lights, but I mean, the light is still in perfect shape. I haven't had any issues with like weird striations or anything when it comes to using the light. I guess you might be able to see that difference a little bit. Yeah, I think you kind of see that, but you know, the light still works really great. As far as not physical, this is all going to be very anecdotal. I really have no data to back this up, so take the next couple things I say with many grains of salt. But I do feel like the battery is draining faster than when I first bought it. And again, this could be for a multitude of reasons. I mean, batteries do start to wear out after a couple of years. I bought this in April of 2020. It is now February of 2023, so I'm coming up on almost 3 years of owning it. Batteries tend to not do as well as they age. So that's 100% fair. There also could be a difference in how I am reading. When I first got this, I was just starting to get kind of back into reading. I don't think I was reading for as many minutes during the day, so I am probably reading a lot more than I used to. So obviously the battery is going to drain more as I read more in a day. It could be both things. It could be one or the other of the things. I don't know. But I do feel like the battery is not lasting as long and I am charging it more than I used to. But I'm still getting, I would say, at least a week of battery if I have it fully charged. So if I were to go on vacation, I could charge it up before I go and probably not have to bring anything with me. But it's just one cord. So like, what does it matter? And I think actually Kobo is now starting to put USB-C ports onto their e-readers. This one is a micro USB, so it is a different cord than any of the other devices I own. But if I do decide to get another one, I will definitely want it to have a USB-C because that does, you know, bring down the amount of cords I have to bring if I do want to make sure I can charge this. The other thing that, again, I have no data to back up and it is totally just a gut feeling, is I feel like the touchscreen is a lot slower and a lot less receptive than it used to be. I've always kind of struggled with like the keyboard on this, with it missing letters as I'm like typing in notes and stuff. I think it does feel even slower at times. It hasn't slowed down to the point where it's really upsetting my reading. The physical buttons still work really well. You know, I can still get through pages relatively quickly. I can still operate within the system, but I do think it's starting to slow down. So there may come a day where it does crap out completely. Hopefully that is still pretty far off because I do love my Kobo. I have invested into stickers and a pop socket for it. So that is all of the things I think I could possibly say about my e-reader. I am very, very glad I bought it. I love this thing to death. I definitely think e-readers are probably the future of reading as we try to consume less physical products, but still want to enjoy the art of books and literature. So let me know what you think, if you have an e-reader that you like, if you are thinking about getting one. I would love to discuss more. Thanks so much for watching and I will catch you on the next video.